Welcome to Country Fried Rock, where we talk with musicians to find out what inspires their creativity. Country Fried Rock, music uncovered. My guest today on Country Fried Rock is Randall Bramblett with a brand new record on New West. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Flo. Great to be here.
It's a little weird to jump in on someone who's had a career that I've been following for a while and be like, so what's going on? But tell me about what you have coming up with this new record.
I did a pre-release because it was funded by Kickstarter by fans, and I had it finished back in October or something. I did kind of a pre-release pressing for myself, and then I went with New West in order to get it out to the general public and get distribution and promotion and all that. And they are releasing it, having a big CD release party here in Athens for the New West release.
Is this the first time you've done any crowdfunding for a record?
It is. And it probably will be the last because I mean, it worked great, and I just don't think I would want to ask people again. It was a humbling experience to get all these people sending contributions for me to make a record, and it really affected the way the record felt, I think, because it was for the fans and it was by the fans, and I think it helped the record have a spirit that it might not have had if it had just been a regular record company record.
How did music change from something you were doing for yourself to being a profession?
Originally, I was back in high school and college just playing in a kind of a soul cover band that played frat houses and things, and that was just kind of a fun thing, even though we loved it. I never dreamed I would be doing this at this age and for this long as a profession. It was just kind of fun, and it gave us some spending money and a chance to party. But when I got out of college, I guess my senior year in college, I started writing some songs, and that led me, and I decided I would do that full time. I came to Athens from Chapel Hill, and started because I had some friends down here doing music, and Davis Causey was here, so we were writing together and playing in bands together. And Macon was kind of exploding at that time as far as the Allman Brothers, and there was a lot of music going on in this area, and Athens too. And it slowly dawned on me that maybe I could do this writing song thing, and recording. I loved it so much, I just kept doing it. I had some success and started doing some solo work, and then worked in Macon as a studio guy, and then later with Greg Allman and Sea Level. So it just kind of developed, but I never really planned that I would be a professional songwriter, that's for sure.
I didn't realize you and Davis Causey had started working together from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, from 69, maybe. He joined our band. We were in competing soul bands. We call them soul bands, all white people doing soul music. But anyway, he was such a great guitar player that we kind of stole him for our group. Then we started writing together and recording, and that really is what let us half, because you start loving writing and recording so much, and playing too, but something about the creative process and writing and recording draws you in. That's what it did for me anyway.
So when did the first Randall Bramblett Band record develop?
I did solo records in New York. I did my first one in New York in 74, I think. I was on Polydor. I had a guy that was a producer who was very interested in me, and he's a New York guy, so I came up there, and we used all New Yorkers, and all the great players up there played on it. And then the next one we did in New Orleans, Light of the Night. The first one was That Other Mile, and then Light of the Night, and Davis played, Chuck played on that one too, but we used some New Yorkers on that too. So it was not exactly the Randall Bramblett Band, although we were playing with a group of people that, I kept playing live pretty much all the way through until I had a break in the early 80s. I took a break.
Never miss a radio show from Country Fried Rock. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Just search Country Fried Rock.
Hey, this is Randall Bramblett on Country Fried Rock.
What led to writing the songs for this record?
Time. And, what usually happens to me is after I record, write some songs, and then time to do a record, and then I have to get in performance mode, perform the record for at least a year to get it promoted and to just learn the songs and get out there and play them. And then I start feeling the need to write again, which I'm kind of at that stage now. But basically, after I did my last record, which was piano and upright bass drums, a real quiet record. The meantime, after I did that one, I played that record for a while, and then I started writing again and just putting songs together. And then, I wanted to do another band, a rockin' record, and I just looked at all the songs that I had written. There was nothing like subconsciously, I need to write this as a certain type of record. It developed into a more rootsy-sounding record with some Motown influence and some stuff that I hadn't really counted on, but it came out that way when we started recording it. I did part of it in Nashville because I wanted to use these two specific musicians, Tom Bukovac, who's just an amazing guitar player, and Michael Rhodes, who's done a lot of work with me. Just very creative and unusual players. That's what I wanted, something on the edge, some people that could take it out to wherever it needed to go. So I always like to push the boundaries when I'm doing a record. I don't want to do the same thing again. I don't want anything nostalgic. I don't want anything that sounds like I'm going over old turf that I've already done. So looking for somebody to help me take it out there, and that's what these guys did. Did part of it up 5 songs up there, and then I came home and did the rest with my group because I wanted them to be involved too.
When you came back, clearly you were driving the ship.
Yeah, at some point when I signed with New West, I was playing with Steve Winwood at the time, and I played with him for many years, I think 16 years. Often, he wouldn't go out every year, but all the years he went out, I was playing with him. And when I signed with New West as a solo artist and, had a real label now and a real, they were wanting me to do promotions and things and get out there and promote the record. I had to make a choice. Do I want to be kind of half sideman and half solo, or do I really want to go for this solo career and spend my effort doing that? And I made that choice to stop being a sideman and just do my own solo thing with my own band.
You continue to be called upon quite a bit in the studio.
Some, there's not a lot of work here in Athens, but I get called occasionally to do studio stuff. And I went out with Widespread Panic for a summer because Mikey was sick, and they needed, I knew those guys, and they needed somebody to help out with kind of filling in there when he was so sick. So, but that's the last time I've really done a solo thing. And there's not a heck of a lot. Most bands here in Athens are self-contained, They don't need anybody else. They're working on their own thing.
What developed for those songs in the studio?
When I make the demos, I have this is the way I hear it, and this is about as much as I can do with it. And sometimes we deconstruct from there. Like, let's do this totally different. And that's kind of what they did in Nashville. They just took the demos, and we used some of the loops that I write with because they were you couldn't copy them. They're so weird. Let some of those roll, and we added some pygmies in the water, making a song on every saint. Just added some stuff that gives atmosphere and rhythm. And then I let those guys go, and they just do this cool stuff, and they tell me, hey, why don't you do this? And I play what I feel, and they say, no, try this. And, so that's the way we kind of deconstruct. When I came back to Athens, the demos sounded really good, so we kind of made the demos better, and we did change a good many things, but we didn't totally deconstruct like we did in Nashville.
With the pre-release and then now gearing up for a full-scale release, have you been playing these songs live since then?
Yes. In fact, we've got 10 of them that we're playing now out of the 12. They're difficult, some of them are especially to pull off. Some of them have horns and background vocals, and, we've had to get our background vocals really cool and together. And just, there's so many cool lines that Tom Bukovac played or Davis played that we had to really learn. We couldn't just go, oh, here's the chords, play the song. We had to reconstruct these things. That takes a while. It takes a lot of playing and a lot of rehearsals. You never know if they're going to work live until you start playing them. We opened for Bonnie Raitt at the end of last year, the fall, and so we tried these out for the first time, 4 or 5 of them, in her shows, because nobody had ever heard them, of course, and people loved them, so we kept playing them all the way through her shows. So we found out that they all work. They all go really well.
The songs that have had a little bit longer of a shelf life like that, what are you noticing is changing about them?
We're not changing them a heck of a lot. They've got more power live. We are bringing more energy to them. When you bring it to a live situation, the natural tendency on these, especially the up-tempo ones, like Roll and Parties All Gone and On, they've got a lot more power live. And you get comfortable with them, it turns into kind of a fun thing, and you just start rocking. So, I think we're pretty much playing them as they're written to a large degree, except we're adding a lot more energy and fun. We're extending solo sections too, just for live shows, because they're more, you need a little more time to develop a solo than you'd get on a record to let our guitar players stretch out. I like to stretch out on sax. Gives us time to do that too.
We'd love to share with you our free compilation album, the Country Fried Rock Collection Volume 1. All the songs were donated for the benefit of Nucci's Space, a nonprofit organization helping prevent musician suicide in Athens, Georgia. Please consider a donation to Nucci's Space. 100% of the money you donate goes directly to their services. Enjoy, y'all.
Hey, this is Randall Bramblett, and my website is randallbramblett.com. My last name is spelled Bramblettt.
You mentioned that you recorded like maybe 5 of the songs up in Nashville, then brought it back to Athens. Were you working with someone in the producer role?
Jerry Hansen in Athens and Lawrenceville, it really is his studio that we've done several records with. He's our drummer, and Seth Hendershot is also one of the drummers. But Jerry played drums on this record and co-produced with me, especially the stuff we recorded at his studio. And he just put the drums on the stuff in Nashville that we did. But in Nashville, we were all doing it together. You know, the engineer, the 2 guys, Michael Rhodes and Tom Bukovic, we all put input together on these songs as producers. In Athens, it's pretty much Jerry and I doing most of the production ideas. We've worked a lot together in the past, and he's a great drummer, a great engineer, and a great producer. He has great ideas about how a song should. He really listens to the song and lets the song lead the way, like it either likes something or it doesn't, you know, when you're trying to work with it. And he's very good at that. He pays such attention to the songs.
You've had a lot of continuity in the people that you work with and play with. What does that do for you in your writing?
I don't know what it does in the writing. The live gig, I mean, because when I write, I'm just starting from kind of my own place, letting the song develop, and I'm playing with it, thinking of, you know, working with lyrics, and wherever it goes is where it goes, and then we go to the studio and let it develop there. But I'm not thinking about, oh, Davis would be great on this, or Jerry would kill this. It's totally that this is the song and this is what it needs. You know, it's developing its own identity. And then we get in and try to serve the song in the studio. And I guess some people don't write like that, but that's the way I write. I know live it's great to have guys you've been playing with a long time. It is for me because we know each other. We know what we're expected to do, and I trust that everybody's going to be there and do it every night. So that gives me a lot of security and support. I start really with just some ideas that I write in the morning, pages that I write, just a meditation kind of place where I try to remain open a little bit. And I have fragments of songs, and I take them downstairs when I get in the writing mode and start fooling with them with the guitar and some loops maybe, see where they go, see what I like, then play with it until it becomes a song.
So you start them on guitar?
Yeah, I write almost always on electric guitar. Just because I'm not that good of an electric guitar player, so I'm not going to do the normal things that I normally do on piano, and I'm going to use some weird sounds. So I have to have something that gets the juices going, you know. So something unusual for me to play is good for opening up the process where I don't get locked in on my regular old stuff. Trying a different medium.
Do you have other projects that are more collaborative as well?
Some of these songs, I think 2 or 3 were written with a co-writer too. So there is some. I used to almost always write co-writing. Then I started writing more with just me. But some of these songs were also written with Jason Slatton. Davis had a piece of one too. A lot of times I need some way to get started on a song, and a lot of times co-writing can help me get there, and just helping develop the song. Sometimes I need another brain, you know. One's not enough.
So these are more driven by the song rather than, hey, dude, we got an appointment at 3.
Oh, yeah. Although Jason lives in Birmingham, and we do get together on purpose to write sometimes, and that's where some of these songs came from, is our trips together, or my trip over there to write with him. So sometimes it is an on-purpose thing. How
did you all end up finding that worked for you?
He used to live here in Athens, and we would, back then I was writing every day at Davis's studio, and he lived in Davis's studio, so we started writing together as much as we could. And I had a publishing deal. Davis and I both had a publishing deal with Warner Chappell at the time, so we had to write every day. We were supposed to come up with these songs, so we were doing that, and Jason and I started writing. He started writing with Davis, you know, so we just found out we could write together. He's a great lyricist, and we just got used to doing it. After co-writing, I had to feel safe and comfortable, you know, when you're co-writing, because you're going to feel like an idiot half the time, like, oh, this is terrible, but you're going to have to say it anyway. You have to trust that the person's not going to judge you too much.
Country Fried Rock is a proud sponsor of Front Porch Fest, coming to Stewart, Virginia, August 30th through September 1st. Get your tickets now at frontporchfest.com.
This is Randall Bramblett, and I have a new record called The Bright Spots. It's on New West Records, so you can get it at your local store or online or at newwestrecords.com or on randallbramblett.com.
You mentioned the impact of radio. Where do you see this developing for you with this particular album?
Well, it's always at the small AAA and non-com stations, the Americana stations, because we never going to start at the big commercial stations, but I'm just hoping we can get enough buzz going in the small AAA stations and the Americana stations to, get a buzz going and maybe move up into some bigger, at least the bigger Americana stations, or AAA stations, I guess they call them. It's all a mix, and
right.
A lot of them play lots of different kinds of music. It used to be the radio was everything. Now, of course, it's all changed, but I'm hoping we can maybe get some movie placements or even advertising placements, anything to get our song out there, So we just have to start where we can start. A small label, you're not going to start at the big commercial stations. And what format would we fit into anyway? Things have changed. Back when I was Sea Level, we could jump right out and be in the top 50 on whatever the big top chart was. There weren't that many different formats. It was just rock and country and whatever, but now there's a million different formats.
What's working for you all?
Playing live is working and doing things like we're doing right now and getting some reviews and, just slowly building. I've been doing this a long time. The only thing that keeps me really going is knowing that what I'm doing is good, or believing that it is, and believing that it is, that I am pushing myself to the edge of what I can do comfortably. Keeping it fresh, keeping it fresh, and I believe that the songs are true and authentic, and they're fun to play live, then I know I'm on the right track. I really don't know if we'll sell any records or if we'll make a splash in radio or anything else, and to some degree it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep doing it because I believe in what I'm doing.
Well, you said something earlier in our conversation today that was actually one of the things that I love about your music, and that is that it's not nostalgic.
Oh, I'm not interested in kind of being a Southern rock, somebody reconstituting that kind of stuff. I never was. Just trying to write songs that are unusual and have a little bit to them, and I can't help but from what I know, which is R&B and, gospel and country stuff too, what I grew up listening to. I can't, that's what I'm Southern, but I'm not a Southern rock guy, and not a jazz guy, so I'm just doing my own thing and really interesting. And I mean, lyrically, if you listen to all the songs, none of them are just straight ahead storytelling. And they're very obvious about what they're meaning, really. Very good anyway. That you say, oh yeah, this song is about this. All present, a place or a feeling that's going on in a visual kind of situation, or they all tap into an authentic feeling that or an authentic vision that I was having. Whether or not we could say what it means, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning into the poetry here and trying to be a poet and do funky, fun music at the same time. That's because I grew up listening to Ray Charles, and then Bob Dylan came along, and it's like, oh, my God, you could write about these topics, or you could write in this way. So I think my musical training was in R&B, and then I listened to Bob Dylan, kind of outside R&B. I think when I did my first record, some reviewer said this is transcendental R&B, a little bit rich. It is definitely not just regular straight-ahead lyrics. Music always has a little bit of edge to it, too.
Ooh, tell us about vinyl.
Yeah, the New West has been doing vinyl on most of their releases, I think, and we had to take a few songs off, 3 songs off, but just to fit it on vinyl, but the last 2 songs and one other. But it's going to sound fantastic and look great on vinyl.
Nice.
Can't wait to get a copy. It'll be my first vinyl record since Sea Level, I guess.
That's great. Interestingly, the largest demographic purchasing vinyl right now is 18 to 24.
I believe that. I hope they'll pick it up. Maybe we'll get some young fans.
Randall, I really appreciate your time and talking about the bright spots and everything else that you have going on. I'm looking forward to seeing some other people get into this record.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate all the great questions.
Best to you. Take it easy.
Okay, bye.
Country Fried Rock, music uncovered. Find our full playlist at countryfriedrock.org. You can subscribe to our weekly podcast on iTunes. Just search Country Fried Rock. Our theme music is from The Heap. Check them out at heapdeluxe.com. That's HEAPDELUXE. Our Country Fried Rock stinger is from Steve Soto and the Twisted Hearts. Country Fried Rock. Copyright 2013 by Lily Pad Productions. All rights reserved. Country Fried Rock is a partnership with the nonprofit Florence Regional Arts Alliance. Your donations to this program are tax-deductible to the extent you are eligible under U.S. law. Country Fried Rock radio programs are distributed to public radio through the Public Radio Exchange, prx.org.
Ever he been helping us some country fried rock.